The information and discussions shared on the Love Show are from personal accounts and experiences. Listener discretion is advised. This episode contains explicit language and frank discussions of adult themes or sexual content that may not be suitable for all audiences. Any communications, considerations, or recommendations are not a substitute for medical, psychological, or licensed professional help in wellness or recovery. Please seek a qualified practitioner regarding specific needs or concerns. We thank you and hope you enjoy the show.
Welcome to The Love Show, an exploration of love, romance, relationships, and sacred sexuality. This is your invitation to dive deeper into your innermost self and strengthen the bonds of love and intimacy. Jennifer Rose is an international psychic medium, transformational guide, channel, writer, and healer. With the help of fellow trailblazers, Jennifer's mission is to combine timeless wisdom and modern spiritual awareness to transform and evolve humanity, all while encompassing healthy transformative love, epic beauty, and divine connection. Now here is your host, Jennifer Rose.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Happy Monday, and welcome to the Love Show on the Sacred Spiral Network. I'm Jennifer Rose, and how's everybody doing this evening? I hope you had a wonderful summer weekend in the warm and sunny weather and had a chance to do something fun. I got to see some of the ladies over the weekend too for a luncheon, and that was a lot of fun too. So it's been a really good weekend so far, and I caught up on some rest. So everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm very excited for my upcoming guest, Miss Shannon Torrence. She is so lovely, and she's here to share a really important topic with all of us here today, as we're going to be talking about recovery from love and sex addiction here today too. And I am, deeply honored that she's sharing her story with all of us here today. And she's also working on an upcoming book as well too. So thank you all for holding space for her and myself and our beautiful community here this evening. We had a wonderful show earlier with Brian Larrabee and the Light. So well done, Brian. Great to see you as well too. And then coming up this week, my friends, we have another beautiful lineup on the Sacred Spiral Network of shows during the week too. And coming up this Friday, after Kaleidoscope of the Soul with Lynn Juno, I will be going live. It will be July 3rd at the usual time on Embracing Infinity, my sister show, at noon, 12 p.m. I have got Miss Lynn Juno, Kelly Breckle, Nancy Murtala, and Fran Pierce joining me for an Independence Day reading show. Now, I know it's on the 3rd and 4th of July is on the 4th, but close enough. So please do join us for that. I don't do that many reading shows, so you're not going to want to miss it as well too. So very excited to see you this coming Friday. Now on Sunday, I have a For the Love of Spirit Sunday spiritual service. My normal schedule is a little bit off, so we're at a 1-week break instead of a 2-week break. And Miss Fran Pierce is our guest medium this coming Sunday, so we're so excited to have her coming in to share her inspired address and messages from our loved ones in spirit as well. So please do go over to my website at www.mediumjenniferrose.com to sign up and receive the Zoom link. So we look forward to seeing you. And coming up next Monday, on the Love Show, I've got Miss Karen Bonafilio. As you all know, she's beloved in our community, and she has her show on the network, Inner Realms, Outer Journeys. And so I'm excited to have her joining me as my guest next Monday. Okay, my dear friends, here we go. Let me say hi first. I was just about to get started, but I realized I need to say hi to Miss Vivian Ishimaro from Hawaii. Aloha, Vivian. How are you? And Mr. Jeffrey, how are you doing? Mr. Jeffrey, good to see you. You got here nice and early. Thanks for waiting so patiently, as did Miss Evelyn Chesum as well from Solving. So thank you all for waiting so patiently. And there's our beautiful friend, Miss Nancy Maritala, who is also my dear friend and co-host of Fashionably Spiritual as well. So welcome, 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 everybody, and everybody else who is here with us as well. Okay, my dear friends, let's go ahead and get started. What happens when our desire for connection becomes our deepest struggle? Just take a moment and think about that. Today, voice actor and psychic medium Shannon Torrence will be sharing her 20-year journey and recovery from sex and love addiction. We're diving into attachment styles, toxic patterns, and uncovering what it actually means to build genuine self love from the ground up. Shannon Torrence is a professional voice actor and psychic medium with 20 years of recovery from sex and love addiction. She's the host of two podcasts, Magic is Real, where she delves into near death experiences and other extraordinary journeys, and Still Standing, which highlights inspiring stories of triumph over addiction, trauma, and grief. Currently, Shannon is writing her first book, offering guidance and support for those on the path to recovery from sex and love addiction, drawing from her own journey and hard won wisdom. You can find Shannon at magicisrealservices.com, shannontorrance.com, and please do check out her podcast over on YouTube and give her a subscribe on both at Magic is Real 111 and the Still Standing podcast. Without further ado, and welcome to everybody who has joined us since, let's welcome Shannon Torrence to the Love Show, everybody. Hello, Brian. Hi,
Hello.
Shannon.
Hi, Jennifer, and hi, everyone. I am so honored to be here, and I just want to thank you, Jennifer, for that lovely introduction and for, as you said, this is such a safe space. This is a very
Yeah.
simple topic. The reason I speak about it is because an addict, I just felt spirit come in, because, wow,
Mm,
because an addict's worst enemy is shame. That's why we talk about it. Uh,
absolutely.
I even though sometimes when I speak about it, I do have that vulnerability hangover the next day, I then remember why I'm doing it, and it's, well, because there's healing in truth
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
ability, and there's healing in sharing it so that other people don't feel alone and other people don't feel ashamed, because I love the way that you described this, like this quote unquote malady, which is that what happens when your desire for human connection becomes the most intense pain you could
Yeah.
possibly imagine. And I'll
Yeah.
just say that, yeah, I was in
I
a,
feel it too.
isn't that amazing? Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, there, I was in a 12-step meeting once, and there was someone in there that said that, he said, I'm a heroin addict and I've become sober from heroin. And he said, but there's the pain of withdrawal from a person, or an addiction to a person, or just this general lack of self love is 100 times more painful in his experience. And I thought that, and it hit me. It was so long, like 20 years ago, I heard that. And I agree. I mean, I can't speak to that, but I do know that, oh my God, the pain of being addicted to your own brain chemicals and then withdrawing from them, which is really what this is about. And the
Yes.
lack of
Yes.
self-love is really where that pain stems from.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the thoughts that came to my mind as I was getting ready for the show is, um, some addictions you can just abstain from. You can stop using drugs and alcohol. You can stop gambling, and it's still hard, but you can't stop eating. You can't stop
Mhm.
loving. um, Most people aren't going to want to become celibate. So it's a different kind of recovery as well.
Yes, you get it. It is, and there are so
Yeah,
many, like you said, there's overeating there, uh, um, that can also be, we need to eat, but what happens when that
exactly.
becomes dysregulated? What happens when our natural
Exactly.
instincts and things we actually need for survival become a battle in our minds?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So I always think that makes it a little bit harder than just being able to just completely just stop doing something altogether.
Absolutely.
And yes, yes. And hello to Labyrinth Criterion and Brian Lar. Good to see you, friends. Thank you for being here. And Evelyn is saying not an easy journey, not at all. Um, when did you realize that there was a problem? You know, when
Mm,
and what was the shift there for you?
that's I'm laughing because, oh, you know how they talk about rock bottom. Oh,
Yeah,
oh. I, had gotten married to somebody that was a wonderful person, very kind. I chose him because I thought, "Well, he's a good person, and he's my best friend, and he'll make a good father one day, and he'll" I think subconsciously, I thought he would save me from no more unavailable men, but I didn't know anything about addiction. I was relatively young. I had no experience with understanding why I was involved with unavailable people, and I thought, "Oh, I'll just make a different choice this time." And it's kind of like saying, "I just won't drink. I'm an alcoholic, I'm just not gonna drink." When you're ignoring the fact
yeah,
that there's a reason that you're escaping through drinking. There's a reason you're numbing yourself. And, sometimes, people will say, "I don't know, I just like drinking." I can't speak for everyone, but I'm gonna call BS on that, for the most
yeah.
part. I'm
Yeah, I've
sure it
heard that
has
before.
I'm sure it has happened, but I don't know. And, so this, um if anyone's ever read Eat, Pray, Love, I knew when I read that book, Elizabeth Gilbert, she's when I say one of us, I mean, like, a sex and love addict, because that was me. I had this lovely husband, what's nothing wrong with him at all, loving husband, and I wasn't sexually attracted to him at all. Because I mean, and now and that has nothing to do with him. It's the connection between connecting intimacy with actual love and commitment. They feel sometimes like
Mhm.
2 different things, like there's a disconnect there. And so, very, very long story short, I had gotten married, and then right it's like God couldn't have written a better screenplay. Right before I was to be wed, I met a fellow sex addict, I would say probably sex and love addict, and it was like, I've never been so I can't even explain because I've never done heroin, but I'm imagining that the feeling of that I had when I met him was like this rush of dopamine, oxytocin, adrenaline. I didn't have words for that at the time. This was a very unhealthy person. This was someone that seduced me, and it was like I suddenly went into a trance, and it was like no all boundaries were off. There was no I remember thinking, "I cannot do that. I am not that person." I'd never in my life been unfaithful to anyone. I always thought of myself as the nice girl. I don't do things like that. But I have to be careful because I don't want it to sound like an excuse, but it's all I know is it was like I was paralyzed and had no control.
Yeah,
So, long story
like you
short,
were under a spell.
I mean, literally, it was so intoxicating. I literally said, "I don't have
Mhm.
control." That's why we say we're powerless in the 12-step rooms. Literally, I was powerless. Like, I can't resist this. It's so intense. So, had this affair even before we got married, and then I said, "We cannot do this. We gotta stop this. Like, I cannot do this. I'm getting married. I'm gonna be good. It's like, I'm gonna stop drinking. I'm not gonna drink again." And I
Mhm.
tried to just forget it. And then a year into the relationship, this man reemerged, and it was again the spiral downhill, like just Jack and Jill, the Jack and Jill hill. I just start falling and falling and falling. And within weeks, I'm like, I want to get out of my marriage. I don't want to be cheating. I want to be with this drug. I want my drug. But I didn't know that. And so I leave my husband very unceremoniously. I don't even tell him the truth. I'm just like, I can't, I don't want to be here anymore. He tried to make it work with me. He said, let's go to therapy.
Yeah.
I do not want therapy. I just want to run away with this other man. I don't
Mhm.
want this. And unfortunately, really, I mean, I just thinking about what that would have felt like for him is like, I can't even I imagine. Fortunately, he's now married with children, but the way that I left so coldly because I just wanted out and I just had to I felt like I just have to be mean because I don't want to talk through this. I just don't want to even. So I blindsided him completely. And then the night I left, my lover said, come meet me out. And I'm thinking, finally, we can be together. And I have all my suitcases in my trunk and I meet him there and he goes, ah, that waitress is really hot. He's like, look at her. And I'm already starting to feel like at this point I've lost like 15 pounds from just crying in my closet every day, like Elizabeth Gilbert, trying to
Mhm.
figure out what to do. And
Yeah.
he says, well, I just wanted to take you here to let you know that I'm dating someone now. And so I'm in a relationship and I'm now committed to her. And so I'm ending this with you. And he said, you just have too much baggage. Literally, I was like, "Yeah, it's in my trunk right now, and now I have nowhere to go." Like, I'm literally just got kicked out of my house. Well, you know, he was like, "Go,
Yeah.
leave." Like, I
Yeah.
kicked myself out, got myself kicked out, and, there I'm driving around Hollywood, like, drunk because now I've been I'm drinking, I'm drunk, I'm
Like,
a
what the
wreck.
F did I just
What
do kind
just
of
happened?
feeling?
And then he said, "But if you
Yeah.
want, you can spend the night at my house because 'cause I'm gonna go spend the night at my girlfriend's house." And I went
Oh,
back to and this is really, like, kind of like the only story you need because just to show the depths of the addiction and how people could probably say, "Why did you what are you talking about?" He gave me his house key, I went back to his house. I cried so hard that he called me and said, "You need to pipe down because the neighbors are complaining that you're wailing in my apartment and causing a scene." And I just thought, "I can't even breathe, like, I don't know what I just wanna die. I just wanna die. Like, I can't even
yeah.
what do I do? How do I breathe?" And then I finally settled at 3 in the morning, he came in, no explanation, got in bed, we had sex, no discussion of what just happened or why that happened. It was like this relief. It was like, "Oh my god, finally it's I imagine you're in withdrawal from heroin and someone shoots you up." It was like, "Hi, Sarah." It was like, "Oh my god." And then in the morning, he's like, "Well, take care now." Patted me on the head. I know, thank you. Yeah. So he's like, "Well, take care now. Be good," and sends me out into the wild. And basically this relationship
Wow.
lasted for 10 years on and off, of just this push and this pull and this it just it's I hit rock bottom to the point where I didn't want to be here anymore. And he was also in that same boat. And I didn't have the wisdom, the knowledge, the experience to know that he's just as sick as we're basically like Sid and Nancy all strung out on
I saw the
spec.
movie and read the book, Sid and
Yeah,
Nancy.
yeah, like,
I did.
I
I
always say
did.
we were like Sid and Nancy, but we weren't doing drugs. We were taking hits of each other, and
Mm,
then I was dysregulated, and then he'd say, "You're crazy, get away from me," and then I would just be desperately seeking some kind of comfort, and he would knock at my door at 3 in the morning, and I would just let him in, and I looked in his phone, and there were just messages from women like, "I love you, I love you, I love you," and him saying it back, and I didn't even confront him because that's how
yeah.
sick I was. And so
Yeah.
finally,
I get it.
I
Yeah.
was rehashing this with a friend of mine, and she finally said, "Listen, I can't listen to this anymore. This is," she said, "but I will tell you that I had a similar situation and I found a 12-step program that deals with sex and love addiction, and I highly recommend that you go to it. And she said, I'll go to a meeting with you, but I can't listen to this anymore." And so that was my first 12-step meeting that I went to.
Mhm.
And I would love to say that, and that was that. And then I got healthy and everything was great. But no, that was the introduction. and I went to a sex and love addiction therapist, and I still kept going back to this guy, and eventually this guy found a girl, like a real girlfriend.
Mhm.
And that was that. It was done. There was no more access to him, which was a blessing. And by this time, I was starting to feel a little better. I was starting to make some new friends. I was starting to find a little bit of joy in just the simple things, in hiking or meditating or calling us someone from program. But then everybody I would date would be like the same guy in a different suit. Just not, maybe not so toxic. Like, oh, he's nice, but he's an avoidant. And I just kept finding myself sobbing and sobbing and sobbing and sobbing and literally thinking, I'm defective, I'm not lovable. If I were only prettier or smarter or more well-traveled or more, having no concept that these people were what they refer to as, avoidance. And what I learned.
And they have the same thoughts in their head that
Yep.
something's wrong with them, and this is the thing that plays back and forth too. Would I'm gonna guess this would stem from, early
Yeah,
childhood, dad not being very present, either working all the time or just being emotionally absent, things like that. Would that make sense?
that
And that's
would
what your nervous system
mhm,
knows and was just going to
yeah.
what it knew.
Yes, and in my case, it wasn't. I mean, my dad did travel a lot, but in my case, it was something very specific that I had
Mm.
and still have gratefully in middle age. My parents are still together, and
Aw.
thank God I have them still, and
Yeah,
they
we're not
are
dad bashing.
not
We're
at
just
all, but
we're
that's a
just
scenario that's
setting the scene. Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
so common. It can also it's often narcissistic distant father, smothering
Mhm.
mother, or some variation of that. In my case, yes, my father traveled a lot, but I never
Mhm.
noticed because when he was home, he was with us, fully
Yeah.
present. And my mom really picked up the slack in a way where I didn't even really notice that he was gone. And
Yeah.
so mine was I had a large birthmark on my face, and it was very big and dark. And I was born a highly sensitive person. Now I understand I'm a medium.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
was already highly sensitive. I stopped speaking at the age of 3, which is called selective mutism, because
Interesting. I've heard
when
of this. Yeah.
yes, when people would look at me, it was negative attention because I'm 2,
Um,
I'm 3. Little kids don't have a filter. They don't know better, but they're staring at my birthmark and commenting on it. And so the self-consciousness was just, I didn't want to be seen. So even on picture day, when they were trying to make me laugh, I refused to even show emotion. I was deadpan. I was like fire starter. Drew Barrymore and fire, just deadpan. I remember this little girl in Montessori school saying, "I'm having a party and everyone in the class is invited except for Shannon." And it was that kind of thing
ooh.
where so my response was, "Well, I'm going to become invisible so that no one sees me." And I had my own sort of it wasn't a special ed teacher, but because of that, I had to have sort of separate I was sort of separated because I separated myself. And on top of that, then I needed to have, I don't know what they would call it, but like a private tutor or something because I was alone in a corner and socially terrified. Now it's, social anxiety. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
And so it only perpetuated it. And I wrote about this in my book, and I want to share this little story just that this is not this, my parents did an amazing job. My therapists, my teachers, what they did was right. And it also set me up for this kind of thing because they said we have to get her talking because she has to learn that unless she speaks, she's not going to um, get what she needs. We have to show her that she's got to speak. And so it wasn't a punishment, but there was a day at school where everybody got to decorate gingerbread people. And I was so excited for this day. And when I got there, they're like, great, well, you can participate if you ask. And, maybe now if they'd known, more, maybe that wouldn't have been the way to handle it. And I just remember, okay, well, now I'm having things taken away from me, and it felt like a punishment, and I know they
Mhm.
meant so well.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I have the memory, and this was when I was 5, And I know they cared so much, and they were all trying to be on the same page, and I was going to some of the best child psychologists in the land, really, really reputable people, and they were like, "We all have to be on the same page, we have to be consistent, we have to say, if you don't ask, you don't get." And I wouldn't speak to anyone but my baby sister. And so I I remember it like it was yesterday, leaving there, everyone got their gingerbread, I didn't get one, and as I was writing this in my book, I started sobbing, and I didn't even realize that otherness is that feeling of rejection, not being accepted, not being belonging, not being worthy, and again,
Yeah.
not their fault, because I was already doing
Yeah.
that to myself. People then thought I was weird because I wasn't talking, so kids were gonna reject me no matter what, but my messaging was, "You're ugly, you're different, you're weird, you have no friends," and so I learned to be a people pleaser, um, and
Mhm.
through a long process eventually through which I'm writing about, and I can't wait to finish the book so I can get it out to you.
Yes.
I it's 3/4 of the way done. A long process of the therapy work and techniques that they used. I finally started speaking, and it was kind of overnight because of this therapy that they were doing. But from that point on, I learned that if I just am a yes person, and I always say yes, and I let people walk all over me, and I am agreeable, and also if I'm funny, because if I put myself down, no one else can put myself down. Um,
Mhm.
and it's like why a lot of comics will say like, "Oh, I was the fat kid," or I'm really like actually mentally ill, but this is how I coped was through humor because it's the way that people would accept you. So I learned that if I make fun of myself and I'm funny and I have no boundaries, everybody will like me. And so I became that very well liked kid, not in the popular sense, but no one could bully me because I was too nice. If you bullied me, what a jerk. I was like a timid little mouth yes person and a little,
Yeah.
and I
I get it.
yeah. And it's like,
We're
oh,
we're recovering nice girls. I get it.
absolutely.
There's so many of us though. There's so many of us because it's cultural conditioning on top of everything that you experience. It's just so much cultural conditioning that's how we learn to basically survive.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and by the way, you're so
Absolutely.
beautiful, Shannon. You were so
Thank
beautiful.
you.
So yeah, yeah.
And
I'm
I
so sorry
really,
that you had to go
truly
through that.
thought that I mean, I'm telling you, I
Yeah.
literally until I was like 40 and
Mhm.
had done all this 12-step work, I get so sad, and
Yeah.
this is another thing, like, I just wish people could see themselves the way that we see them or other people see them, and
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you have to look like a model, but when I'm with someone, I don't look at them and think, "Oh my god, look at that scar on their face," or, "Look at how much they weigh," or, "Ooh," I think, what a one like, if a person is a beautiful, hi, Heidi. If someone's a beautiful person and they're radiating confidence and they're radiating self-esteem and there's a sparkle in their eye, all I'm gonna notice and they're kind and or they're funny and charismatic, I'm not sitting there picking apart the way they look. I'm saying a beautiful soul in front of me. And
Yeah.
it's it's but our culture also, American culture specifically, and I can't speak for anyone else, but especially now I live in Los Angeles, and I'm an actor, so
Oh
it's like
yeah.
there's also on top of
Oh
that
yeah. California, West Coast, the land of the beautiful people.
yes, and
I
I
know.
come to
I know.
California
That's a
feeling
lot of
like the ugly
pressure.
one, which is
It's a lot of
yeah,
pressure. Oh yeah. I had that. I went to the high school that I went to was just a lot of pressure like that, very clicky, very, everybody's got this, everybody's got that. So I get it. I get that kind of pressure. And we grew up with it. So we understand what that's like too. So it's a lot of factors, and ultimately it's like these abandonment and rejection wounds are sort of at the core of suffering and humanity. And it's it's where all of these other patterns start to web out, and where we create all of these pretty archetypal defense mechanisms and kind of costumes and things to work around, whether it's being the nice person or being the avoidant, or being the violent person, or being the disconnecting person. All of this, it's like these are all ways that we're figuring out how to cope with being human. And the question is there something better? And we know there is. There's something
Yeah.
better. There's a better way to do life. There's a better way to be human that
Yes.
gives room for all of us to feel wanted, needed, respected, to all feel like we belong and that we matter.
You're so eloquent. I love listening to you speak.
Thank
And
you.
one of my favorite, well, just something I say a lot is water seeks its own level. So I was dating unavailable people who were traumatized and didn't love themselves. And they were, quote unquote, I thought, rejecting me. No, they were not rejecting me. They often were rejecting intimacy. They
Mhm.
were, and there were, and
Yeah.
I was also an unhealthy person with low self-esteem, which is not attractive. I also had no boundaries. I also was having casual sex with people who I would have sex with, like people I didn't even like, because I felt obligated because they liked me. Or I would have sex with someone because I was lonely, or because I needed the validation. Um, I would I would act out in these ways just because I needed to feel attractive, but it was never enough because I
Mhm.
didn't feel attractive. So if anybody liked me, I remember my mom saying, "You don't have to go out with everybody that likes you." But I didn't know that. And so the
Yeah.
other thing is that because I felt so crap about myself, I am attracting other people that feel crap about themselves. Mostly, I'm grateful I was never in an abusive relationship. That's not my thing. Thank God. Um, when I was 19, yeah, there was a possessive jealous, but I ended that like, w you know, pretty soon after I went to college. But I did I did tend to only be attracted to people that were not available. And what I learned in going through my recovery process was that you're choosing people who are unavailable because you're unavailable. And I was like, "No, I'm not." Like, all I want is I had I had this fantasy, and this is another thing I learned. Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, um, that covers so many things. It can cover avoidant. There are people that go there because they they are sexually anorexic, meaning they do not have intimacy because it triggers them. There are people in there that are addicted to promiscuity,
Mhm.
or um, online stuff. I just don't wanna say that. I don't know if it,
Okay.
for the
Okay.
algorithm, like, I don't
So
wanna say any.
I get it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
get it.
and then there are people that, also as, what was it? Oh, yeah, for different attachment styles. Oh, fantasy. There's also
Okay.
something
I got
called fantasy addiction,
So it's
and
not
that.
just what people think in their minds that it I think people think in their minds that sex addiction is just somebody who has a lot of sex with
Yep,
a lot of people, and you're like, no, it covers these other uh, spaces as well too, including people who don't have it at all because it's too hard.
exactly,
Okay. Okay. So then
exactly.
how do we, yeah, so this is all about how getting everybody to be able to enjoy and have healthy relationships, healthy partnerships, which would include healthy
Yes.
attachment, secure attachment, healthy sex, enjoyable, meaningful, connected intimacy.
Chef's kiss with your description.
Yes.
And when I kept hearing people would say, "Hi, I'm a fantasy addict," and I'd be like, "Well, I thought that was like video games or anime," or I'm
Yeah.
like,
What
"What do
is
you
that?
mean? What
I don't
is
know.
that?"
What is that?
And I realized I started saying, once I figured it out, I was like, "I'm Shannon, I'm a sex and love addict, and I'm a fantasy addict." A fantasy addict, it's so easy for me. If I date an unavailable man, I can ascribe all of these amazing qualities to him that don't
Ah,
exist. I can create a fantasy relationship in my mind. I can ignore the red flags and, ignore his unavailability and put him on a pedestal, and I can imagine that we're star-crossed lovers and that this is
yeah.
some kind of, and well, that's a whole other thing. I don't wanna go there here, but And there's I think that you do have these experiences from a spiritual perspective because you need the karmic lesson, um,
Yeah.
as I
Yeah.
did. But, so I do think there's something to there is that a magnetism. It's also
Yeah.
addiction
Yeah,
because we're
there are soulmates, there are twin flames, and then
yes,
there are karmic partners and these types of things too. And then there also are people who may think that they're in one of those just because of the brain chemistry, the trauma loop that they're caught into, because
yes,
the overlap and the similarities um, can there's a lot of similarities there too. And so it's probably only through healing and time that you begin to figure out which side you're on, like which category you're into. Maybe
yes,
both, but eventually you can figure out, because if you're able to actually move on in a certain kind of way, then you can kind of figure that out. But I get what you're saying with that.
yeah, and as we go
Yeah.
and as I talk about how do we recover from this, I mean, my
Yeah.
book really is like, how do we love ourselves? What do you mean? Like, love myself? What okay, great.
Yes.
It's not affirmations in the mirror saying, "I love you, I love you, I love you."
Mm.
It helps, this doesn't hurt. But what we have to first understand, and to me, this is my own opinion,
Mhm.
I believe every addiction stems from love addiction. So in the program, we call this a God-sized hole. Hi, Jeffrey. A God-sized hole. So that does not mean I think people get turned off from 12 step because it sounds religious, but it
Yeah.
actually isn't. I mean, I went in there pretty
Right.
much atheistic and um, someone even told me, I don't know if isn't something the program says, but like someone in program said, it could be a doorknob. Just give up control to something else besides yourself and know that pick a higher power of your choice. It could be nature. It does not, if you don't believe in you do not have to be religious. In fact,
Yeah.
that isn't it at all. But you can be, or you don't have to be. That's what's so beautiful about it.
It's
But
just taking your hands off of the driver's
yes,
wheel. Just take your hands off
yes,
for a minute and
you're
see
not
if
in control.
it still goes. And it does. Yeah.
Yes.
Just like, ooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
What happens when you stop trying to manipulate and control to get your needs
Hmm.
met? And
Yeah.
so I think it's important to understand that literally what I've understood is like when people are like, well, how did this happen?
Yeah.
My cause, like some people, it's abuse, so narcissistic parents,
Hmm.
um, SA stuff. But for me, it's literally I was traumatized by my own highly sensitive personness, my own severe anxiety, my own feeling so big that I didn't when I was 3, I think, my, child psychologist said to my mom, "Poor Shannon, she has such big feelings she doesn't know what to do with." Just I mean, just I feel so deeply.
Yeah, I
I
know. I know.
and we don't
We
know what
all
to
know
do with
that.
that, right?
Yeah,
We don't
exactly. Oh yeah, and we're empathing so much energy around us, and yet everyone thinks it's us, but they don't realize we're a mirror to everything that's going around when we're empathing that kind of thing, and then we're feeling. But that's how your brain is wired. That's how you were born. It's actually your gift. Now you've used it to make it your superpower, but that's the transformation. Now your gift is your superpower, but before you didn't know how to use it. And who taught us back then how to use our sensitivity? Even the beautiful child therapists, it's like she could see what it was, but it's like not that many people, I don't think, understood it fully back then. We have much greater understanding of it now than we did back
Yes,
then.
and I wrote about
Yeah.
this in the book too, that when I saw the
Yeah.
movie Wicked, I didn't even really like it that much. I mean, because I felt like, "Oh, if I were a teenager, I would like this movie more." It's really well done, but just, I thought
Mhm.
coming being Gen X, I like things more gritty and not so perfect and polished and, like, AI
Yeah.
looking, um, and the performances were astounding and, like, I don't wanna take a but I was like, I mean, it's good, but at the end, sobbing, sobbing. I was like, "I am Elphaba. I am Elphaba." Like, she didn't even know
Mhm.
her own her being green and her being a witch, that was what made her special. I was like, "That's what made her special," and then when she finally realized it,
Yeah.
she swooped on her broom and she took off, and I was just a wreck. I was like, "Oh my god." Like, I relate
Yeah.
with her so much, which is incredible because part of the reason I learned the way that I started speaking again was because I wanted to be the Wicked Witch of the West so badly for Halloween, and they said, "If you don't say it, you can't be it," and I wanted it so, so, so bad that it prompted me to say the word. They said, "You just have to say one word." It took me hours and hours to muster up the courage. But it's so amazing because then I was like, that whole movie and that whole theme, I was like, no wonder I was drawn to that. And what we
Yes.
have to understand, I think, is that this addiction, however it manifests. So again, sometimes it's not an addiction. Sometimes it's you are terrified of intimacy. It has traumatized you. You don't want anything you're addicted to isolating. It can be that. But in my case, the dopamine and the oxytocin, and the adrenaline of connection, because I was thirsty for it as a kid, like parched, dry desert. When someone gives me, even now, like I love connection but in a healthy way, like just even
Yeah.
this, but in a
Yeah.
good way. And now I'm a nanny,
Yeah.
and it's like the connection with the baby is like, oh, it's so like, I'm like a kid that just wants to like grab you and shake you. I have so much love.
Yeah.
I'm getting high off my own brain chemicals. And sex is a very heightened aroused state. That's why there is no such thing as casual sex. I don't care what you say. Maybe everyone processes it differently, but what is
Oh, yeah.
casual about the act of sex?
Right. Yeah.
You
You're
might be able to
connected. Yeah.
handle it, you might like be able to handle it, but for me, no. I mean, that to me, that's why I do not anymore. It's so sacred to me because I also know the power of that. It's so intoxicating. It takes it can take your breath away. And so what I didn't realize what was happening was when I was with an avoidant, what they do is and we'll get into that, but I want to talk about recovery. Um, they give you the most intense affection, sex, and they're usually extremely skilled lovers because that's the one place they feel safe to be vulnerable. Their heart opens up, your heart opens up. It's like you're high on this thing, and then they disappear without a word. And then just when you're like about to jump out a window because you're in so much pain of withdrawal, they swoop back in and you're like, oh, thank God. And then, okay, 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 everything's fine, everything's fine. That's emotional dependence. So how do we heal when, like you said, we need connection? How do we set boundaries around it? And
You still need love.
how do
Yeah.
we love ourselves in a way where
Yeah.
we can set boundaries around it? I'm still not perfect at this, by the way. I'm gonna say that we'll get into that just briefly, but I don't want to say that, oh, now I'm healed and I have a husband and a white picket fence and everything's fine and I'm totally comfortable with intimacy. Um, Not at all. I really still lean very avoidant, but what I will say is that, and I'll tell you how I did it. I am at peace. I don't take things personally. I love myself. I love my life. I get high off connection from dogs, cats, kids, friends, women's
Yeah.
circles,
Yeah.
spirituality, yoga, like I can self-soothe like a mofo. That's the thing. Like before I could not, the only self-soothing was I have to reach out
Yeah.
for that person. And if he's
Yeah.
not available, I'm going to wither and like I feel like I can't even breathe. And so that person, if they disappear, what do you do then? And so you have to learn, how can I feel safe without a person? And
Yeah.
also, even
That
without love addiction, it's
That's
horrible.
exactly. Like I don't think there's one person who can't relate to your story because we've all been through. Everybody struggles with relationships
Yeah.
and has layers of everything that you're talking to. And we all know the love bubble phase, where you're getting flooded by all those brain chemicals and you can't see clearly.
Yeah.
And and you get so like swept up and like literally like you're under the spell. And it's just like that's one of the reasons why we're having this show is to have more healthy relationships. If we can have healthier relationships with ourselves, and that extends to now having healthier relationships with other people, family, friends, partners, then the world finally becomes a better place to live in. Yeah.
Absolutely. And,
That's why
a
we're
lot of
here.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so it's how do we find self-love? It's like I don't know what that means,
Yeah.
because objectively I'd be like, I like myself. I think I'm a nice person, but I'll tell you, and I'll just volunteer this. And if you have questions,
Yeah.
whenever I speak at a meeting, which has been a long time, because I don't necessarily go to meetings that often anymore, unless I just feel like it, because I
Hmm.
want to, because I like the community. Um, so there are some aspects of 12-step that work. And I am someone who used to be like roll her eyes at hand holding, chanting, all of those things, like, because it's vulnerability, right? It's like, I
Yeah.
never was like, oh, I'll go to a 12-step room and hold hands with strangers and do a prayer to God that I don't believe in. I now do believe in God, but not in the religious sense. Uh, and so there are several things. One, when you act with integrity, you're not going to have those moments of waking up like, oh my God, whose husband did I sleep with? Like, like, oh my God, and how the twisted web that I've weaved, and how do I like get out of this? And um, what, like, oh my God, who did I sleep with last night? Like, all of those things would make me sick to my stomach. I was worrying about STIs constantly. Like, I know I'm going to get AIDS. I had this obsession with, I probably have AIDS. I probably have AIDS. But then I couldn't set a boundary when someone was like, I don't want to use a condom. I'd just be like, okay. And just have trouble in saying no, absolutely
Hmm.
not. And not all the time, but like that was some of it, which was, and so when you act with integrity, you have nothing to worry about. Even if you don't do things perfectly and you might go, I should have handled it this way. My question to myself always now is, what is the thing with the most integrity? Like, if I have to make a choice, what, it's not the easy, not what is the easiest, what action has the most integrity? So I did end up having a 7-year relationship a few years ago and lived together. And I was so happy that when I left the relationship, it was because of irreconcilable differences. It wasn't because of anything. I had never even thought about cheating, never even acted out. I lived with integrity. I was on it. He knew. I was very comfortable. And I'm like, I don't have not one regret about how I handled things, except for not speaking up when I was upset, because I don't, conflict avoidance. Second thing, self-care. So at first, it's going to feel uncomfortable, because when you're in withdrawal, for example, oh my God, the emptiness. It's like I wish there were a way to put words to it. I just remember telling my mom when she said, "Why can't you just stop doing this?" And I said, "It feels like my limbs are being ripped off my body. Like, it feels like I am floating through space. I have no anchor. I feel like I'm unsafe in a way that's like visceral. Like, I want to I'm sick to my stomach. I can't sleep. I
Yeah.
can't eat."
This is also physiological. This is your brain
Yes.
also. And that's what I think people have a hard time understanding is this is also uh it's psychological, it's
Mhm.
spiritual, and it's biology. It's all of them all together. And that's why it's like you have to kind of um work on all of that. You have to work on your physical health, you have to work on your emotional, mental health, and your spiritual health to basically come out the other side. And it takes a lot of courage to do what you've done, Shannon, because it's hard work. Self development and healing and doing all that, it's really, really hard work because when we tell people it's not about you, when someone hurts you and they're like, it's not about you, you can't understand that
Yeah.
it's not about you until you know who you are and you've done that kind of like integrative practice work within yourself to realize what's really happening, be able to kind of separate what someone else is doing is not to you, right?
Yeah.
Although it feels that way, right? That's a really, really hard distinction to make. We can say it, but to actually know it and to be able to hold yourself in such a place. So it's like what you're talking about is like learning to hold yourself and take your hands off the wheel. And that is some of the hardest work that anybody can do in life. So I want to give you a moment like for that to have so much courage that you've had to do that. It's not easy.
Thank
Like,
you.
you did a great job.
Thank you. I could sit
Yeah,
here and go, "Oh," but as I
just
tell
take
people, it's progress, not perfection, because do not think I did
Yeah,
not backslide 27 times. Don't think my sponsor said, "You're gonna do
yeah,
this again? Go for it, see what happens." I had the
yeah,
best
yeah,
sponsor. I had 2 amazing sponsors who are both now friends of mine, and,
yeah,
I loved that if they had been too strict, I would have bailed. Some sponsors like to be really hard head like, "Nope, you're gonna do this, it's like you're in a boot camp now." That does not work for me.
yeah,
I do not like to be controlled. That's part of my avoidance. It's like, do not tell me, do not control me, do not get in my space and tell me how to live my life. But she would gently say, okay, so let's just see how this goes. And when I called her, like, she's like, okay. And so what did we learn? And so I think that was maybe we don't want to keep doing this. Like, what do you think? And
yeah,
so like a lot of it is self-care. And I mean, actually the self-care part is the best part because you do things for yourself that feel good. So obviously, not everyone has the money to go get massages every week, but just listen, if you can do something like that for yourself, great. Yoga from home on YouTube,
yeah,
meditation on YouTube. You don't have to pay for things. They also have wonderful places like last night I went to a place in LA that I'll shout out, Unplug in Santa Monica, and they have my friend was doing a sound bath there. So sound baths, meditation, yoga, eating healthy food, hiking in nature, sleeping, like getting enough sleep, getting enough
yeah,
rest, spending time with the people who make you laugh. If you're passionate about music, go to music shows. If you're passionate about, theater, go to a theater, whatever it is, or whatever. If you like building stuff, then build stuff. But it's like actually giving yourself permission to focus on yourself, not in a selfish, like, I
yeah,
don't care about anyone, but in the sense that you have to put your own oxygen mask on first on the plane, because if you don't put
right,
yours on first, the person next to you has if there's a kid, they
right,
can't put it on themselves. So it's giving yourself permission to finally be like, wait a second, let's stop pleasing and giving from this empty cup, fill up my cup. And then the next step too is being of service to others. Now, I'm not going to
yeah,
say, oh, I did all this volunteer work but now I am, right? But being of service to others could be as simple as when you're thinking about other people, you're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking of, even if it's donating to a GoFundMe or like a small act or buying someone a coffee or holding the door open for
or
somebody.
smiling, yeah, smiling at somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah, little things
complimenting
too.
someone.
Mhm.
Oh, but
I
it's yours.
think
Go
you,
ahead.
you point out a couple of things too, is I think the root of all of this, of these, rejection and abandonment wounds that create these attachment patterns is we learn to self-abandon. We all do, men and women, because we're taught to be nice and sweet, not to
Yeah.
have a voice. And men are taught, I know I'm being somewhat general, so forgive me, folks. I know there's an overlap, but the masculine is taught to not feel,
Hmm.
don't cry, just be strong all the time, right? And so we have to self abandon parts of us, big parts of us, in order to, survive and fit into this world and figure it out. And so, in that sense, everybody's avoidant because we're avoiding each other, or we're avoiding our feelings, we're avoiding ourselves through self abandonment. And then we're just playing this, out back and forth all over the world. It's really interesting because you called yourself avoidant a couple times, even though you realize you were the one who was attracting them
Hmm.
into your life too. And I think that's what maybe some people might not realize, is that you have to look at your own avoidance in order to not be continually attracting that pattern anymore as well. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
it does.
Yeah.
Because, when I look back now, it's so interesting to me because it's my life, but also as I'm writing the book and going through all these memories, I'm like, this, when my sponsor first said, okay, let's do I think it's the second step, where it's like, all right, where did all this begin? And I was like, oh, it started in my marriage, like, and then I was like, wait, no, it started a few years before that. Wait, no, it started in college because I was kind of, no, actually I was chasing men, like embarrassing, drunken, like not like stalker literally, but like embarrassing, like knocking on their door at 3 a.m. like, let me in the door, just like it totally embarrassing. For people I barely knew, just because we made out once, you know, and suddenly I'm attached. And then I'm like, wait, no, it was actually in high school. Oh my God, when I was pressured into having sex, but from an alcoholic. And oh, wait a minute. No, this happened when I was 2. Like, it was like I went all the way back and realized this has been, even if it wasn't dating, there was always a mean friend, like a bossy friend who, a girlfriend who, like, in a strange way, took out some kind of strange sexual aggression on me when we were like in 4th grade. And I just didn't know what that was or what was going on.
Oh
And it
yeah.
wasn't like typical, but it was a
It's
very
power
odd
play. Yeah, it's
yeah,
power
it was
play.
it it
Kids
it
do it
was.
too. Yeah, it's that's all power play. Kids do it too. And then, and give yourself some grace because to be so little,
Yeah,
and have kids not understanding your appearance because of the birthmark. And I mean, what were you supposed to do about that? And how would a 3-year-old be able to understand
right.
that the other kids don't understand what they're seeing and what they're doing? And there's just no way. Like, and it's like, that's why I was like, we gotta like wrap some grace around that. And there's just, I feel this like sacredness to your life, because here you are now, you wouldn't speak, but now you're a voice actor,
Mhm.
and people didn't understand your appearance, but you're so beautiful. You're
Thank you.
highly sensitive as a child. You couldn't deal with it back then, but now you're a psychic medium.
Isn't
You're
that yeah,
writing a book it's gonna help thousands, millions of people. I mean, look what you've done with what you started with.
thank you, that's so beautiful.
That's pretty effing awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and I know it is, and I know it's
Yeah,
not I don't even take
yeah,
credit for it as much as I know that this is my s I give my higher self credit for choosing
yeah,
because I now see, I'm like, I get it. I get why you did that.
yeah,
I see what the
yeah.
progression was, and, I just know that, like, when I was in high school, when we talk about avoidance, I was like, "I'm not avoidant, I'm so passionate and, like, wanna be in connection." Well, I would, have a boyfriend, he would fall madly in love with me, and I would fall madly in love with him back when you didn't have and nobody
Mhm.
was jaded when you're, like, 15 or 16, and,
Yeah.
and suddenly and I'm like, "I love you, let's have babies together, and let's marry each other," and then suddenly I'm like, "Ugh," I feel so, like, icked out, like, I can't breathe, I feel smothered, then I start nitpicking, I start finding fault, I start being kinda mean to him, like, putting him down, making fun of him, being like, "What a loser," and I now see, oh, that's what disorganized attachment is. It's I want this love, but then, oh, now I feel smothered and ugh, like I would run. I mean, I literally ran from people's house, like ran with my suitcase out of a man's house because I was so, I have the ick. I don't want this. I feel smothered. I don't like it. And I now realize, I mean, not only was that so mean, but I didn't even love myself enough to know that it would hurt them. Like I didn't even know that, like, I did never thought I actually hurt them. I just was like, "I gotta get out of here, ew," and, like, didn't even think about how they would be feeling. And also the fact that, it makes sense now, it's like, "Oh, but then when somebody then maybe towards, like, college, that's when I was introduced to the avoidant." And then suddenly I'm like, "Wait, who is this? Who is this dreamy person?" And it's like, "Oh, those are the people that you don't actually want to be with you." Hi, Diana. Um, and so there's this theme of every time someone wants to love me, I'm like, ew, back off. And what I learned was when you have low self-esteem, you think, well, if they're attracted to me, there must be something wrong with them. If they like me, they must be such a loser. And then you start to, so
Oh,
there's so,
wow.
yeah, that was so, I
And
don't,
so that's why you're looking for something wrong with
yeah,
them.
but it was about my own defectiveness. There was nothing wrong. None of these people, there
Yeah.
was something
This
wrong
is
with
what
them.
I know this is what everybody goes through in different levels. Like
Yep.
everybody's walking around with these feelings of not being good enough in the back of their mind. They don't realize it, but that's what's driving their behaviors, all of their protectors of
Hmm.
their beautiful, pure, innocent hearts. And this is the human condition that we're talking about, and just shows up in so many different ways. But
Yeah.
there is another way. Yeah, there is another way, and there's a way to find it, and that's by coming home to you.
Hmm.
Yeah, coming
Yeah.
home to you first, and then when you reconnect with you, then your connections with others get so much more magical.
Yeah.
There's so much more possibility. I love that too, and all of the self-care things that you listed off are so valuable. Not hard to do, not expensive. But also, I get it because it would regulate your nervous system. It would bring you into the parasympathetic response. It would help your brain to heal so that your brain chemistry can now come back on in the balanced neurochemistry for yourself, too. That's a thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like taking care of your brain
Yeah, the other
as
key to
well.
it is in 12 step, it's taking contrary action. So,
Ah,
at first it's so hard. Oh my god, is it so hard? Oh, your qualifier, that the qualifier is the person you're addicted to. So it's like that qualifies you to be a sex and love addict. Your
um,
you went no contact and now he's texting you. Every part of you wants to go back to him. And you're like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. And but the more that you consistently say no, 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 the first time you're just like white knuckling it, over time you're like, "Oh my god, that made me feel really proud of myself. I feel good about myself." And then instead I chose to go out with a girlfriend and have some like frozen yogurt or do something healthy. Um,
yeah.
I also don't drink anymore, but that's not because of that. I was never an alcoholic, but I
Mm,
definitely drank to get drunk throughout my life. I also get migraines, so I just physically can't do it. But staying clean, it doesn't mean I don't sometimes, it doesn't mean I don't smoke weed sometimes, but I personally don't have an issue with that. It's more like being sober. It means not just being free of drugs and alcohol. It means being f- uh, off your bottom lines, which are I made a list of bottom lines, which are, you know, um, no unavailable men, like no sex until the fifth date. You write kind of a dating plan for yourself. And when you
mhm.
start sticking to those things and you realize, wow, I did it, then you start to feel good about yourself because you didn't cave. And contrary
Yeah,
action is like not acting out when you would normally act out. And over time, you're like, this feels way better. This feels so much
yeah,
better to me than that. And now I don't wake
yeah.
up with a pit in my stomach with regret and remorse and embarrassment and
Mhm.
shame. And over time, you start to really like yourself. And then with that, you start to really love yourself. And the more acts of integrity you I don't wanna say perform, but you live in, like, with living in integrity, you're like, "I actually do like myself, really, truly, I like who I am.
Yeah,
I really like who I am now."
I
And,
love it.
yeah, and the other thing is, like, making amends, which is not an
Mhm.
apology, not, "I'm sorry I cheated on you," because, yeah, I don't care how you feel. That makes it about you. It's not about your feelings. It's saying, "I These are the things that I did to you that I'm acknowledging. I was unfaithful, I was dishonest, I was out of integrity, I made a commitment I couldn't keep." And then you say something to the effect of, "If you don't want to speak with me at all, I completely respect your boundaries, but if there's anything left unsaid, or and even if it means you want to yell at me for an hour, I'm here to hold space for it," even though I'm so glad my husband didn't, because it would have felt terrible. But I'm like, I said, "I
Yeah,
give you the opportunity if you want to even just tell me what a POS I am. Like, if you just wanna yell at me or you wanna know something, I'll tell you the full honest truth if it'll help you heal." And then those are what amends are. It's making it right. It's not, "I'm
yeah,
so sorry, I feel so bad. Oh my god, it's the worst thing I've ever done." I sometimes struggle with, like, pangs of shame and guilt and remorse, and just even though he's great, he's doing well, it's like, and I'm like, "That was 20 years ago. Forgive I didn't know what I didn't know."
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
still I that's why I would never cheat on someone again, because I don't ever wanna
yeah,
feel like that again. I would never, ever, ever, ever again, because it feels horrible. And so that's part of it too. And then with the 12 step, which I really do think a lot of people are like, "I don't need that. I just do it on my own." I'm like, I get that feeling. Clearly, you haven't been able to do it on your own. The beautiful thing about 12 step is the community and the rigorous honesty. So here we tell the truth to ourselves and others,
mhm.
no matter how bad it is, and we hold space with love. No one's going, "Oh my god, you did what?" It's
Yeah.
I
That's very Elizabeth Gilbert, yeah, like
yes, it's yes.
yeah, I get it, yeah, and yeah, my group of friends, we try to do that for each other, just hold
Yeah,
space with no judgment,
that's beautiful.
and so you can just allow, if you just need, if you had a shitty day and you just need to vent and say that blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
because, and it's like, we know that that might be the little kid in you who's talking, but it's okay because we're just like, let you have your space, let you have your voice kind of to get it out, and without judging or making you feel bad for it, and so it's similar to what you're doing in your community, but yours is a little bit more structured there
Hmm.
too. And so you're finding a place. It's really hard. Any kind of addiction and any kind of self work is really hard to do on your own. I think it can
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
but it's awful hard. I recommend everybody find support, whether it's a group like you're in, a coach, a therapist, a combination thereof, um, to ensure your greatest success in life.
Yeah.
You know,
And if it's, and if,
everybody.
yeah, and if you're dealing with
Yeah.
more of like dismissive avoidant, which you can look up, it's all over everywhere, um, tendencies, which I'm more disorganized. I'm more secure. I'm kind of now very much in the, it's like I'm anxious if somebody's being distant, but I'm more
Hmm.
secure now. And I tend to be avoidant when someone's anxious. If someone's pursuing me, I'm like, back up, buddy. And but the thing is that as an avoidant, a lot of people, I love the community stuff, but people who have been really seriously traumatized, and that's why they're avoidant, because they were abused and they couldn't count on their caregivers to care for them, or their parents smothered them or made them responsible for taking care of them. So now they feel like they don't want anybody's needs. That's triggering for me. Those people tend to do better with a one-on-one coach who specializes in uh, healing attachment because, oh, thanks, Jeffrey.
We love
Because,
Jeffrey.
yeah, because it's like 12 step, if you're severely avoidant and socially and sexually anorexic, th- it's probably really good for you to learn to be comfortable in a group setting, but also it can be extremely terrifying. So even if you just can't bring yourself to do that, find a coach you can trust, somebody who specializes in attachment. And, but again, contrary action is part of it, is stepping into a room of people when you're somebody who isolates. I've seen people do it, and it's the bravest thing I can imagine, is to see people in those rooms saying, I don't talk to people, I stay by myself, I can't make eye contact, I don't trust people, I was really badly abused. Actually show up and start to feel comfortable and know that you're safe here. You're safe, and that's part of the healing. And it's the scariest thing for those people to do.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, "Oh, I love the connection." So I'm like, "Let me
Yeah.
speak at a meeting. I wanna be hugging everybody." I'm like, I love the 12-step rooms because the people are so, at least this particular group, because it's all empaths and people who feel
Yeah.
deeply. And so it's like my
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And the connection and also showing up, you
Yeah,
know.
showing up.
We have to
Even,
show up. Show up for your life. We have to.
yeah,
Show up for your life so that you live it the best it can be. And that's one of the biggest gifts you can give to humanity is showing up for your own self.
yeah,
And most of us don't know how to do that. So we have to learn. We have to relearn. And that's okay. And that's like totally okay. That's part of the journey, I think, too. But that this is how we're going to make the world a better place, too. And acts of service outward, great. But serving yourself inward and becoming a whole person, imagine what kind of power you have now to really be of service to humanity. Like,
mhm.
that's pretty awesome too. Yeah, that's really
And it doesn't
beautiful.
feel draining, it feels fulfilling, and
Filling.
it feels healing, and it's
Exactly.
like, I
Yes.
love working as a medium, sitting for people in
Yeah.
grief. I know you do that too.
Yeah.
Being able to hold space for other people without
Mhm.
feeling drained is like, I don't feel drained at
Yeah.
all. I might
I
cry
don't,
with
yeah.
them, right? You don't either?
Yeah. I don't either. Yeah. Some people ask me that. Don't you feel tired from dealing with
No,
people with grief? And I'm like, no, it's when I feel the most beautiful.
me
I'm
too.
in the most loving frequency. I'm in my highest self. Spirits around. I'm doing me, what I was meant to do. I'm living my purpose. Same as you. Yeah.
I love it. I and I'm
Yeah.
comfortable around it, and so to me, it's like, I
Yeah.
know I may not know what it's like to lose a really close loved one because I've been so fortunate in that realm, but I do know
Yeah.
what grief feels like, and I
Yeah.
know it.
Oh
I
yeah.
was buckled, knees buckled on the ground, dry heaving. My mom had to fly in to because I just couldn't
Mhm.
function. And so I can't say I know what it's like to lose someone, but I know that what I was experiencing in my addiction was grief, across the
Oh
board
yeah.
grief,
Oh yeah. Yeah. It brings you to your knees. It really
literally.
does. It brings you to your knees. Yeah. I know. And it's the price we pay for love, and you learn to carry it around, and every once in a while you need to talk to it, you know. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you're back. You need some love. Okay.
Yeah. And now
Time
I'm
out.
able yeah, now I'm able to
Yeah.
process that feeling of relationships ending with
Yeah.
a healthy cry, which is like,
Mhm.
that's normal. You're when you break up with someone,
Yeah.
you're going to feel grief, even if
Yeah.
you want to leave. Even if you
Yeah.
it just wasn't working out. I now know I just noticed
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I cried for a day, and then I went on with it." It's like and then, it's I
Yeah.
don't, and that's not like I'm not even saying that's ideal. I'm just saying, like, if you wanna cry the whole year, please do, if that's what you need. Go to but I think that for me, it's like
Yeah.
now I get so happy just being with my girlfriends or my male friends too, but
Yeah.
being in, like, a women's circle, I'm like, "I got everything I need. I'm good. I got my cat. I got great family. I got my friends." I'm feeling,
Yeah.
like, whole, and, like, I'm just gonna kind of end also by saying too that, as I said, I'm not perfect. I'm not healed. I'm still healing. I am definitely very happy, very content, very at peace, very fulfilled, full of self-esteem, and, like, every day I'm like, "Oh, I'm so happy I didn't end things. I love my life. I love where it's going. I love what I do." I sound like Jessica's affirmations. "I love my life. I love my hair. I love my mouth." But I do. I love my parents. I love my si what and my niece and
Yeah.
my nephew. And also, I'm at a place now where I'm like, I've decentered men, like, not in a bad way, not because I hate men, I don't at all. I love them, but I've
Yeah.
decentered the importance of it, and sometimes I think, I don't know if that's my avoidance or if I'm really like, I think I'm good. Like, I really not to say that I don't need
Yeah.
intimacy, and I still have that, but I'm like, I just don't think that I want to be coupled, and maybe I never will, or maybe I'll be surprised one day. And I think I've been really kind of coming to now where I'm at is I'm okay with that. Like, I don't have to think, oh, there's something wrong with me because I don't want that.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
even though it came from a place of pathology, even though it came from
Yeah.
these experiences, I'm also like, and maybe I just don't want that. And that's okay. And that's all right.
Yeah.
To
It's almost like I know what you speak of too, and there is a cultural part, a component of this too, that tells us that, we have to be in a relationship to be happy.
yeah,
That's the path to happiness. And there are many paths to happiness. And I think you've broken free of the illusion that that's the only way to be happy, or that you need that to be okay, or
yeah,
to be worthy. And so now you've broken free of that illusion that if a relationship comes along the way for you, it'll be icing on the cake, but you're
yeah,
the whole damn cake, and you
yes,
know it, and it's your cake is filled with love and laughter, and the children that you get to watch, and friends you get to do, and your work as a voice actor, and your work as a psychic medium, of all of these other things fulfilling you. And I think you speak for a lot of women who have been we're kind of seeing this sort of rise of the divine feminine
mhm,
happening too out there too, and they've done so much work, on their inner selves. They're so fulfilled because they have all these other types of relationships in their lives, that it's like it's not the whole center of their reality
right.
is the other, right? And it's like you become the center of your reality in a healthy way, not in a narcissistic way, in a
Mhm,
healthy way. And then everyone comes to you that is meant to meet you, or a match, a frequency match,
yeah,
or a maturity match, maybe even too. And that's a beautiful thing, to know that you don't need that to be happy, that you're okay without that. And then if it comes along and it's healthy and it works,
Yes.
hallelujah, great.
Exactly
So,
where I'm at with it
yeah,
is, look, if there's
it's
someone
so
that comes
great.
along,
Yeah,
I don't go on dating sites because I'm like, what am I like? I started to do it and realized I'm not even available. I don't even want this. What am I doing? And it's like, but it doesn't mean I wouldn't welcome it if it's right.
yeah,
And I also trust God, the universe, timing, that the people who are meant to
yeah,
come into my life will. And I don't need to seek for this thing, that this
yeah,
ideal, because no relationship is a fantasy, and no relationship, yes. And you
yeah,
can feel more lonely in
yeah.
a relationship than you do on your own. It doesn't mean and I
Mhm.
love men. I love men. I have lots and
Yeah,
lots
me
of male
too.
friends who I
Yeah, me
adore.
too.
And
Mhm.
I know they have their own set of issues, like you said, they're socialized to shut down feelings, and I have empathy for what leads them to get this
Yeah,
bad rap. We get labeled as too emotional, they get labeled as too not emotional enough, and it's true, but also, like, they have their own kind of traumas around that, so this
yeah,
isn't a
and then
men versus
their
women.
emotions show up as, like, anger management issues and things like
Yep,
that. Yeah, yeah, so
absolutely.
the emotions all find their way out one way or another,
They
don't
do,
they?
exactly, yeah. But I think now I'm more open to, like,
Yeah,
yeah, just
yeah,
if it comes along, I'm open to it if it
yeah,
feels right, but I'm not forcing anything and I'm not looking for it, and that is so
yeah,
freeing and beautiful.
it is. I think that's what freedom looks like, and that people are saying they have this inherent desire inside of them to feel free,
Yeah,
and then only to realize that in the seeking of what makes you feel free, it's always been there inside of you. It's just coming home to yourself. That's where the freedom is. Self-love is your freedom, because once you love yourself, it's a whole different ball game that you're living. Oh, my wall just popped too. Thank you, spirit.
oh, yeah, and going back
Yeah,
to The Wizard of Oz, which is a big theme in my book too, because it
yeah,
had this huge impact on me,
yeah,
it's like Glinda says to Dorothy, like, "You had the power all along, it wasn't the
mhm,
shoes."
yeah. You just didn't want to believe it at the time.
Yep,
Exactly. Yeah, I know.
yeah,
Yeah, there was a time where I wouldn't have believed it either, and now I'm
I
finally
know,
believing it. You know,
I know.
and if that little, there are little tendencies or little voices in me that are kind of like how things were, it doesn't like overpower me anymore. I can come and say, oh wait, no, that's not us anymore. This is the new this is
Right,
the new us, right?
yeah,
And so that's a nice place to be. So um i think uh I think we've done well, and I'm so proud of
thank
you.
you.
Do you know when your book will be out, or you're
I'm
still
still
finishing
writing it, but
finishing it
I'm
up?
now that but this is
Yeah.
good because this is accountability, is I'm very close to finishing it, and now I just have to find out about all the publishing modalities, but this is going out, and it's
Hmm.
my, guides have told me this, my spirit guides, many mediums have told me this, and that's why
Hmm.
I'm writing it, because it isn't for me to tell my story, it's to help other people, um, like I said, with the caveat that, look, Elizabeth Gilbert just wrote another book, and where she talks about this,
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh my god, I'm so effed up." Like, and I'm not. I don't wanna say that it's not that bad, but there's
Yeah.
still I still have issues around intimacy, and it still plays out in different ways. I just have
Yeah.
much more self-love in it, and I have better boundaries in it, and I'm feeling good. So, but it does not mean that this is like, "Oh, and I never feel triggered, or I never find myself s
Yeah.
self-abandoning for a
I
man," or
know.
whatever.
I know.
I mean, come on, like,
There's no arrival. It's like that's where we can get ourselves into trouble, thinking we're healed and nothing bad is ever going to happen again. That's not life. Life is
no.
always going to have its twists and turns and ups and downs. And I witnessed that this weekend. It was like one bad thing happened, then one good thing happened, then one bad thing happened, then one good thing happened. And I was just like, and I'm like, that's just life. I could get pissed about it, or I could just be like, oh,
Yeah,
that's just life. It just does that. It's just this little ping pong effect, and you just learn to just it's just life. That's how it
I
is,
know.
right? And and there is no final destination with anything, just like with mediumship, or with enlightenment. That all of a sudden, if I reach this place, I'll finally be happy. It's just a continuous process. I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
But that said, you've done really fucking well so
Thank you. I
far.
feel that I have, and I'm proud of my higher
Yeah.
self and the spirit guides that we worked as a team,
Yeah.
and I know they were up there going, "Oh, girl, what are you doing? No, not again." But they protected me, and I mean,
Yeah.
not only and
Yeah.
this is not a brag, but it's like somehow I got through all of that. I do not have an STI. The worst case scenario never happened. Like, all of the horrible
Mhm.
things, I fortunately, nothing dangerous ever happened to me. I was never
Yeah. Thank
forced
goodness.
into some like, for all of the situations I put myself in, I believe spirit guides were like, "You have this big thing to learn, and you're gonna be able to help other people. Your path is just gonna be we're gonna save you from some stuff that just isn't your path." Like, it's just
Right.
so I'm
Right.
so fortunate that it wasn't worse, and also it was my head was what was the pain was the problem, not the, um, I'm very fortunate that I've lived a pretty safe life, and I've had a very secure family and, like, a very loving family, and I
Yeah.
just think that, like, my spirit guides were like, "Girl, we can't you some of this is free will, but also we're gonna make sure that, you're also protected because that's not supposed to happen to you."
Right.
But
Right.
it's because I needed to help other people, and I know that
Right.
now.
So you put some experiences in your shopping cart, but not these other ones. Those weren't, we didn't take
Yes.
those off the shelf. And so spirit guides are like, no, that's not on that's not in your cart. We're not doing that.
And it's a
So
literal miracle,
yeah.
and so I know
Yeah.
that it just it they're like, "No, that this is
Yeah.
the way it's gonna go, and it's gonna hurt a lot," and
Yeah.
there's no comparing grief, there's no I can say I'm so fortunate I wasn't abused, I'm so fortunate I grew up very
Yeah.
privileged, like, I'm very, very lucky because I had something to come
Yeah.
back to, which is why I didn't take my life, because I'm like, I could not do that to my family, they're so I would ruin their lives, and I knew it, and that's the
Hmm.
only reason I didn't take my life.
Yeah.
So I don't wanna say I didn't also have advantages, but I
Yeah.
always say if I can do it, you can do it too, because my sex and love addiction therapist, who's a specialist and works with a lot of people in Hollywood, said I was the sickest sex and love addict he had ever met and worked with, and
Wow.
he said, "I want you to ask your dad for $35,000 so you can go to, uh, rehab." And I was like, "I am not telling my businessman dad from the South that I'm a sex addict." My mom knows, but, my dad does not wanna know things like that, he doesn't even wanna know about who I'm dating, and I'm like, "I can't." He said, "You need to go. It's like, this is the worst case. Like, you are just so stubborn and so in it." So, I tell people that even though I might look privileged, because I am, I also was deemed like the worst case scenario, so if I can do it, you can do it too. Even if you didn't have a
Yeah.
supportive family, you have friends, you have people that love you. You have
Yeah.
yourself, you have whatever God of your understanding. You are not
Hmm.
just because you had a traumatic background doesn't mean you can't climb your way out of it.
Oh, absolutely. Um, and I want to be careful also about like comparing one person's, pain to
Yeah,
another. Because like you, I did not grow up in an abusive household. I mean, every family's got its little dysfunctions and things like that too. But I would probably say my upbringing was similar to yours. And that doesn't mean my life was easy. That didn't
right.
mean I didn't have a lot to learn. That doesn't mean I haven't felt pain and extreme grief and gone through really, really hard things too. Right. And it's
Yeah,
like I'm very grateful that I didn't have these other experiences that other people have had, and I hold their experience in sacredness as well, too. But I want to also honor that, what you went through as a 3-year old was really hard, and you would
yeah,
have no way of comprehending that. And it only takes a little thing
mhm,
to develop a belief that we're not good enough. It's all to a child because we
yeah,
don't have frontal cortex develop, we don't have this frontal lobe development. And no matter what adults say to us, we don't have that reasoning capability to think differently. We think it's all
right,
about us, that there's something wrong with us. That's how children are. It's just where we are in our development too. And so it only takes a small thing to develop that too. But there's so much hope. There's so much hope because when we get healthier, our relationships will get healthier. We'll raise our children in healthier environments as well too. We'll have more understanding of each other, and then the world becomes better. And what we're wanting to see will actually be reflected back to us again. So through your recovery and what you're sharing with other people, because there's going to be plenty of people who go, oh, I'm not the only one, me too. Like, look how brave she is. If she can tell her story, I can tell my story, I can get help, I know I'm not alone, right? Like, then there's just that ripple effect, and you've given this big gift to humanity, through telling your story and sharing what you've learned.
Yeah, I couldn't have done it without other people doing the same. So that's why I
Yeah,
share. And
yeah,
it's even though I can look back and
yeah,
just think, oh my God, the way I behaved, I'm mortified. But I can't hold on to that shame because then I don't heal. And I just remind myself
yeah,
that's part of the journey. I didn't know what I didn't know. And
yeah,
like, also, are people really thinking about it as much as I am? Everyone's living their own lives. They're not focusing on what
yeah,
I did wrong or the mistakes I made.
yeah,
Even if they don't like me because of it, they're not thinking about me and spending time,
yeah.
like, putting pins in a voodoo doll about it. It's
They're
like,
thinking about their own selves, yeah, too.
yeah.
And another just interesting lens of perspective or perception to look through is sometimes the darker parts of us that drive behaviors that are considered socially unacceptable,
Mhm.
to can also be our biggest teachers. We can look at them as like these parts we need to heal and fix and things, but then at the same time, they can be our biggest teachers too, because they wake us up to realize something about ourselves, which is that we need to come home,
Yeah. Mhm. My
you
rock
know?
bottom was actually they how they
Yeah,
say, "It's not happening to you, it's happening for you."
yeah,
And would never wanna feel as bad as I felt back then, but I never
yeah,
would take it back in a way. And even the person who was my qualifier, who I don't even say he put me through, but, like, that was the most toxic, horrendous 10 years dragged out of this back and forth and back and forth. Fortunately, he's now in recovery as well and very passionate about it. And, but I
oh,
also know that when we talk about soulmates, that he is one of my soulmates. And
mhm,
I don't even really talk to him very often because he's like, very friendly and there's love there, but I'm like, I it's he's a button pusher, so I'm like, he's a real button pusher, but it's not that, but it's like I would never go back to him if you paid me $1,000,000, and that's no offense to him, it's just in my own recovery, like, our dark sides were drawn to each other, but I do believe our souls chose that path together, so I thanked him at the end, and I was like, "We did our work, and we've
yeah,
made amends to each other," and it's like, I used you as a drug. That's, and also, I care about you, but I was addicted to his toxicity, not the person. And also, I bless him and wish him continued recovery and joy. And also, I know that that was a soulmate. Like, no, that's what soulmates I think are. And sometimes, yes, they can be your husband, your partner, your friend, your parent.
yeah,
Being a soulmate doesn't necessarily mean you're meant to be together in this lifetime, but you are meant to have
mm,
some kind of a significant experience in your life. And I think I'm grateful for that. And I do not, even though I look back and I'm like, oh God, what kind of like self hatred did I have to behave that way and to let someone treat me that way? And also, thank God I did, or I never would have sought help because I wouldn't have ended up on my knees.
mm, yeah, yeah. And you've come to, I think, the understanding that, how do I word this too? It's just, I think you realize now that it wasn't a reflection of you, but it was just a catalyst to help you see yourself. You know what I'm saying too? And it's like, I think, like I've gotten to a point in my own self-love journey where I can just see people as they are and love them as they are,
Yeah, me too.
and realize that, like, well, that's not about me, right? Does
Hmm.
that make sense too? But it's taken a lot of work to get there. Does that make sense? And so,
Yeah,
but to get there, like, we're playing our little parts, or playing our roles, or playing kind of or playing the game together, but it gets you to awaken more. And there's
yeah.
a gift in the awakening, you know?
And if we try to
And
fix somebody
yeah,
else, it's just to avoid fixing ourselves. So all we can
yeah,
do is
yeah,
pray that their relationship with their higher power
Yeah.
is on track and that they have their own higher power. This isn't for me to fix.
Mm,
All I can do is set boundaries for myself about what I'm
yeah.
willing to accept. And like I said, I'm not great at that.
Yeah.
I'm an overgiver, but
Well, yeah, we're taught to make ourselves smaller, especially as women, to
yeah,
make ourselves smaller in order to make other people more comfortable. But then you learn that doesn't work. Either way, you're screwed. So it doesn't work. So you might as well just go be you.
amen. Oh my
Might
God,
as
so
well
well
just go
said.
be you. Because it doesn't
Incredibly,
work.
so well said. Yep, yep,
Either way, you're screwed. So just be you. Just be you. Enjoy
exactly.
life.
Yeah,
Cheers, my love.
and find your people. The people who don't get you,
Yeah,
it's like the people who
yeah.
matter don't mind, and the people who mind don't matter. And I still
Oh,
don't
I
feel
like
that.
that.
I
Oh,
still
that's a good
have
one.
people pleasing. I still want everyone to like me. I still feel terrible when someone doesn't, but
Yeah.
now I also remind myself it's put a
Mm,
protective bubble. It's not my monkey, not my circus. No, not everyone has to
yeah.
like you. Not everyone is at the same energetic resonance for better or for worse. It does not matter. We're just not in vibration together, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I um, I had the pleasure of being on the podcast, but also interviewing this lady from Australia named Get Through Matche, and she is a four-time TED speaker.
Mm,
And she was saying, and she helps women to tell their stories. That's like one of her passions. And she's saying 33% of the people are going to love you. 33% are going to be the haters, and the other 33% are totally indifferent. Just focus on your 33%. I said, just focus on your
yes,
33%. The rest, don't even put your energy there.
exactly. Easier said
Yeah.
than done, but a very, very sage advice.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Haven't forgotten it yet.
I won't either. I'll remember that.
So
Focus on the
yeah, yeah,
33% who gets you, and not everyone's going to get you,
yeah,
and that's fine.
yeah.
It's
I
totally fine.
know. Yeah, yeah,
Doesn't
exactly.
mean you're not worthy of love.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's the thing, is we have to get it and get it into our reference that it doesn't reflect the value of you.
Yeah.
That's the big change. That's a big shift. It's very hard to do, but it absolutely can be done.
Yeah.
And you're a living testimonial of that, Shannon. And I want to thank you so much for your time, for your honesty, for your vulnerability, for sharing with everybody here today. Thank you to all of our friends who have joined us here
Thank
and
you.
been listening and sharing. There's some beautiful comments there for you too, Shannon. Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey,
Thank you all
and to
for
our
being
beautiful
here.
Kelly Brickle for taking care of us in the background here too. Any Shannon, any last minute words? I know we can find you at magicisrealservices.com. And you also have your two podcasts that everybody can follow. The Magic is Real and what's the other one again? Forgive
The
me,
other
my
one is
brain
called
went blank.
Still Standing, and you might have to
Still
look at it.
standing,
Yeah, and I think the
still
link
standing.
might be
I
below,
found
and
them.
yeah, and
Yeah,
that's where I interview people that have overcome challenges like addiction and mental illness,
yeah,
and they're not just
yeah,
surviving, but thriving.
yeah. I saw it. It's really good. It's a really good
Thank
account that you've
you.
got there. So I went and looked at both of them too. And any last minute words you'd like to leave us with, love? Hey, Vivian.
Just I know this is what all my near-death experiencer interviewers say, and I agree, is like it's like I know it's corny in a way because it sounds trite, but just remember that you are so loved. Really, really. I'm not saying, it's like really you are so loved. You are love. When we come into this
Exactly.
world, pure, innocent children who don't know anything but love. And the only reason we all end up like with these issues is because somebody at some point, either intentionally or not intentionally, behaved in a way that gave us a message that we are not enough. We are not, every one of you is beautiful beyond measure. And I don't even mean that from a physical standpoint. Like there's no one but you. Like you are so, like, please embrace, I teach voiceover. I'm a voiceover teacher. And I'm like, lean into the thing that makes you weird. Stop trying to sound like everybody else. Stop trying to be everybody else, and don't try to sound nice. Just be your weird self, and it's
Yeah.
beautiful, and if you own it, everyone else will accept it too. It's like show up at the party with your weirdness and don't apologize for it or shrink yourself. Like just please live
Yeah.
loud and trust. And I know I say trust yourself, but really and also that there's hope, because like I said, there were times where I did not think I would even be alive today because of this addiction. And
Mhm.
If I can do it, you can do it. And I genuinely,
Yeah.
not even having spoken with you, like, love you because you we are each I am you and you are me, and literally hurt
Yeah.
people 1,000,000%, and also we are literally all one, like, literally not just in
Yeah.
some kind of fantasy world, we are all part of the same energy source that is
Yes.
love. We're just stuffed
Exactly.
into these different corporeal envelopes, and if
Amen,
I hurt
sister.
you, I hurt me, and so I can
Yeah.
say I've chills. Spirit guides are giving me tingles on my forehead and my scalp. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I just my mission is to help people to love themselves really and truly. So thank you
Yeah.
for letting me share, and thank you for this beautiful podcast, which now I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with. I'm so
I love
you're
you too,
doing such a
Shannon.
great job. You're doing, and thank you for
Yeah.
everyone who spent time with us. Like that's the energy in the room. That's
Yeah.
that community thing.
It's
So
this is love. This is love. And yeah, we're all in our mutual weirdness together. And that's
yes,
love, folks.
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Oh
embrace
yeah.
your scars, I guess would be my now I've got a scar on my
Yeah.
face from and I think just my biggest takeaway is, like, embrace your scars.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much, Shannon.
Thank you, Jennifer.
If you wouldn't mind staying with us after the credits roll, and then I'll see you back over in just a minute. Would that be okay?
I would love it.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you to all our beautiful friends who have been holding space with us and staying with us. I love you all so very much. I'll be back on Friday with an Embracing Infinity for a reading show with Kelly Brickle, Lynn Juno, Nancy Maratala, and Fran Pierce. And my Sunday spiritual service is this coming Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific with Fran Pierce as our guest medium. And next Monday on The Love Show is Karen Bonafilia. We've got something special planned. So we'll see you all very soon. Please sleep with the angels, everybody, tonight. And love you so much. Bye, everybody. Good night.